Hi everyone, welcome back to another Call of Duty Mobile video. A few days ago, new data was discovered in the game files that led many players, including data miners and leakers, to speculate that the upcoming Mythic character skin could be for Manta Ray. But on the other hand, in a surprising turn of events, the most recent update has revealed new in-game files that point toward Dark Shepherd being the next Mythic character instead of Manta Ray. Previously, we had a strong reason to believe that Manta Ray would take the Mythic spotlight, especially since the earliest leaked files supported that theory, and even the official Mythic character teaser released a few weeks ago seemed to align with her aquatic theme. These newly discovered files contain references with the initials DS, which strongly hint toward Dark Shepherd's return, possibly in Mythic form. At this point, either one of them could be the next Mythic character, Manta Ray or Dark Shepherd. There's no confirmed information yet, and the leaks have been pointing in both directions. So now it's a bit of a waiting game to see who actually gets the spotlight. That said, which one would you like to see as the next Mythic character? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's take a closer look at the new backpack and character systems coming to Call of Duty Mobile. In the updated system, there are now 4 different backpacks available specifically for multiplayer mode. What's unique here is that some of these backpacks can only be unlocked by playing certain multiplayer game modes. So for example, if you play a specific mode like Domination or Search and Destroy, you'll automatically be granted access to the corresponding backpack for that mode. According to a recent developer video, there's an exciting new feature being introduced to Call of Duty Mobile: the ability to randomly select a character skin when you enter a match. This is a fantastic addition, especially for players who have collected many amazing character skins but rarely switch them out manually. Let's be honest, most of us tend to use a few favorite skins and forget about the others, even though we've unlocked or bought some really cool ones. Now, taking that idea further, it opens up an interesting possibility. What if the same randomization system was applied to Garni skins? It would give new life to older skins, and players would get more value out of their collections. Technically, this shouldn't be too difficult to implement either, since the foundation for such a system is already in place with the character randomizer. If this gets added, it would be a great quality of life feature for the community. Let's take a look at the new bayonet attachment for the M1 Garand in Call of Duty Mobile. If I recall correctly, this bayonet originally appeared in Call of Duty Vanguard, and it looks like the developers are bringing that same concept into COD Mobile. When you equip this accessory, it adds a visible bayonet blade to the front of the M1 Garand, giving the weapon a more classic, gritty aesthetic that feels true to its World War II roots. What's interesting about this attachment is how it functions in-game. Once equipped, it adds an additional melee button to your interface. This button appears to only be active when you're close to an enemy, meaning it's a contextual or integrated melee feature. From what I've seen, if you're within range, tapping this button executes a quick bayonet stab. However, if you're just slightly out of range, it won't activate. I personally think the addition of this attachment is quite fun, especially for fans of historical weapons and close quarters play. But to be honest, it's not the most practical or meta accessory. The damage and utility probably won't match up to other attachments like optics or underbarrels in competitive play. Still, for players who enjoy experimenting or just want to have some fun in casual modes, this bayonet adds an extra layer of style and interaction to an already iconic weapon. In the latest test server for Call of Duty Mobile, a brand new wildcard has been introduced called Ultimate Overload. This wildcard brings an exciting twist to the gameplay by allowing players to carry an additional non-repetitive operator skill, something that hasn't been possible before. Essentially, you can now equip 2 powerful operator skills simultaneously, which opens up some seriously creative and aggressive play styles. However, to balance this potentially overpowered feature, there are a couple of trade-offs. First, the recharge rate of the additional operator skill is slightly reduced, meaning it takes a bit longer to earn it back during the match. Secondly, the continuous score bonus is also lowered when using this wildcard. The good news is that your actual in-game score remains unaffected, so this wildcard mainly impacts the recharge dynamics, not your overall performance on the scoreboard. Call of Duty Mobile is currently testing one of the most radical perk system changes we've seen so far. In the latest test server, the developers have grouped certain perks together, including combinations that previously wouldn't have been possible, such as 2 immune perks in the same slot. This drastically alters the meta and opens up combinations that were once considered off limits. What's unclear right now is whether this change is only being tested temporarily on the test server, whether it will move forward into the official version, or whether this configuration will be limited to specific modes or seasons. There's no no official word yet, so we'll need to wait for further clarification from the developers. Now, while this change does feel more drastic than even the new wildcard system, I personally see it as a bold and refreshing move. By grouping perks, especially weaker or similarly positioned ones, the devs are clearly experimenting with balance and variety, giving us more flexibility and potentially shaking up stale metas that have dominated ranked play for years. Of course, I understand that many veteran players might feel uneasy or even resistant to such dramatic changes. After all, CODM has had a fairly stable perk system for a long time, and most of us have our go-to combinations that we rarely deviate from. In the latest test server update, Call of Duty Mobile is experimenting with a brand new wall-penetrating tactical device. At first glance, its model might look quite similar to the previously introduced wall-penetrating flashbang, but it's important to note that this is an entirely different item, not just a visual placeholder. Currently, there haven't been any significant changes to it, which suggests it's still in early development stages, but the concept behind it is already drawing attention. Personally, I think this kind of feature adds a fresh layer of strategy to engagements, especially in modes like Search and Destroy or Domination, where defenders tend to hold angles and camp behind cover. Of course, we still need to see how it performs in actual gameplay scenarios. Is the range too short? Is the damage balanced? Can it be overpowered? These are all things the developers will need to carefully fine-tune. But from a concept perspective, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this wall-penetrating bomb evolves in future updates. It could be one of the more creative tactical tools COD Mobile has introduced in a while. The Stim shot in Call of Duty Mobile has undergone a noticeable change recently. While the in-game description still claims that it quickly heals wounds and increases movement speed for a short time, the actual gameplay no longer shows any movement speed boost after using it. This is an interesting shift because if you remember in the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, the Stim shot did not provide any speed increase, it only healed wounds quickly. When the Stim shot was adapted for Call of Duty Mobile, the developers added a movement speed boost on top of the healing effect, likely to balance the faster-paced mobile gameplay and give players a bit more tactical mobility. Now, with this recent change removing the speed boost, it feels like CODM might be reverting closer to the original design from Modern Warfare 2019. In the latest update, Call of Duty Mobile has introduced more refined controls for vehicle score streaks such as remote-controlled tanks and bomb cars. These vehicles now have their own separate key settings and customization options, allowing players to tailor their controls specifically for each vehicle type. The damage numbers in Call of Duty Mobile have been improved so that they now move away from the enemy and jump in the opposite direction of the character's movement. This smart adjustment helps prevent the damage indicators from blocking your field of view, allowing you to stay focused on the action without any visual clutter getting in the way. The operation of the Storm Ball has been optimized in the latest update. Even if you don't usually use it, these improvements likely mean smoother controls, better responsiveness, or enhanced mechanics when deploying or maneuvering the Storm Ball in-game. It's always good to see tweaks like this, as they can make a big difference for players who do use it or want to try it out. The Gulag could finally be added. It's been 5 years. I've been waiting all that time. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, make sure to leave a like, subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Also, don't forget to check out my other videos. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.